Afternoon, right? Afternoon, everybody. It's good to get back out there today and practice. It was good to have a day off yesterday too. For the players, I'm sure for everybody, just to reset and refresh. That was a good one that we were on, and just from a time standpoint, the time zones and the travel and all that went into it. So it was good to come back and take a breath yesterday, and then I think really good that we have a day today to start the process to crank it back up. And it's obviously a good opponent tomorrow night. I think the guys are excited about that.
What do you got to guard against? I mean, you're playing so well, but when you have that coming back home and that night.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I think, listen, I wish you had the crystal ball and you could tell exactly what was going to go on tomorrow, but try to address things the day before. I think it's always just when something's on your mind, I feel it's best just to address it, approach them, put it on the table. That way, at the very least, we're thinking about it, whatever it might be. And so, we did talk about it a little bit, and I think the opponent helps sometimes. Where Carolina's been a good team in the division for quite a few years now, and so you get your attention right away.
What does that, obviously 5-0 is great, but that road trip, as far as what you're sensing that it did for the group, can you describe that at all?
I mean, I like the fact that we worked hard really throughout almost all of the games. There was a third period or two where we had a significant lead and we sat back maybe a little bit more than I would have liked, and I would have liked to attack a little bit more. I like the fact that we fought back in a couple games, and so just a resilient group inside of how I opened up about it was a bit of a grind, and the fact that we stayed resilient even in that last game, we stayed resilient and kept pushing. So I like that about it.
Where does the group hug originate for you?
It's not really a hug, it's more of a huddle. I call it a huddle. I'm going to make sure you get a word right. Hugging, it's a huddle. It's more just where players talking and breaking practice. So I think it's good.
But this originated at some point with you, correct? I mean, where did it start with you?
Well, it started. I've done it before. I speak too much. I'm in too many meetings. It's my voice too much, and I think sometimes it's good just for the players to do something to end the day. And so on the huddle, it's the players' voices, not mine. That's what I like about it. They end the day, not me.
Peter, what have you seen in terms of defensively through the neutral zone into your zone defending on this road trip? What was good? What worked? 7 goals against 5 games. What have you seen defensively?
I've said this, before the road trip. I thought we were really good defensively in the last 2 exhibition games. We played a couple of good teams that had a good portion of their lineup in there, and we had a good portion of ours. And we didn't let up much at all. Not the ones that we did let up. They were uh-oh moments. They were like, oh boy, and it was something that was a major breakdown of, okay, this is not what we're looking for. And I think that we've carried that through for the most part. The one game that I didn't like the way we competed defensively and offensively was the Nashville game. I just felt like we were on our heels and we didn't attack the game. But from a defensive standpoint, I do think that the guys have made a commitment to coming back and make it difficult to play through the neutral zone, and then even more to the point in our end, and to generate in our end. And I think when you can do that, you can win a lot of hockey games. We continue to talk and push the other side of the game, which is the attack side of the game. And kind of like I opened the meeting, when you see something, you can present it, you can show it, you can talk about things, you can present numbers and thoughts and whatever, and from there you need a buy-in to change the mindset of what we're doing on the flip side of that. And so that's something that our group has talked about as well.
Do you have to be clear when you talk about it, the balance, like not
there's been so many teams that have been good both ways, and so I do think that the one area that for me was really important to really try to get structure to was in the offensive zone, when it's no longer our possession, that we don't stand in, we don't risk anything anymore. And we've gotten the 2 games that we lost, the odd man rushes were really large, a large number. You're gonna have to withstand 1 or 2 or 3 a game, and I feel like you can still win the game. But when it's 8 to 10, I feel like your chances of winning that hockey game go down. And so inside of the pressing, that's the only thing really that we've changed. We're still in the offensive zone. We're just not getting to where we need to get to and delivering what we need to deliver. And so I do feel like, I think it's gonna come. I feel like we'll get there, but it's a work in progress.
How much have you gotten to know Igor in the stretch you've been here? His personality, have you gotten much insight into him? Have you spent a lot of time trying to talk to him?
You spend a little bit, Larry, with everybody every day. I've grabbed him a couple times on the ice, and you know, when I see him at the hotel or at the rink, and you spend a few minutes and you talk, we talk about different things. You can talk about TV shows, you can talk about family or whatever, and so and you realize too that everybody's a little bit different inside of, not Igor, but I'm just saying inside of a team concept, so you have to figure out those conversations and where you want to go. But I've had some with Igor, yeah, and so I'm working on that relationship as well as relationships with everybody.
Was it big for you at the start of these first 10 games to keep the continuity within your lines, allow guys to kind of breathe and play and develop together? I mean, winning helps.
Yeah.
That allows you to keep
Yeah.
that, I guess, but even if it wasn't a 5-0 road trip, do you think that was an important part of this?
I think it makes it, at the end of the day, we're here to win games and be successful. And so I think the fact that we've been able to play good defense, and we've been able to, especially teams that have really kicked in a little bit, and we've been able to find ways to win on a tough road trip, that's all positive. I think that all of that leads you to a little bit more patience, because if had it gone the other way, well, it's unlikely you probably would have kept everything the same. You would have had to have, especially if you feel like you're capable of doing more offensively and you haven't done it, you might have made a change or looked to do something. So I think that the fact that for the most part, you know, the first 9 games, with the exception of an outlier inside of a game or one game itself, I think we've done what we wanted to do, and that allowed you, and we've gotten the results that we wanted to get, and that allows you the stability in the lineup.
It sounds like when you talk about pushing more offensively, you're okay with the zone time. It's more about the areas where you're getting your scoring chances.
I know we're in there. I know we're in there, and so I know also that my eye sees and what numbers see that we're capable of creating more. And so, like I said, could be anything, could be conversations, could be video, could be recognition, could be a practice where you're trying to make sure that the focus without taking away from what's been working, that we realize where we're at and where we need to get to.
As hard as it is to defend today, the block shots, and you feel like commitment, how impressed have you been with your team so far?
Today?
No, on your
Yeah, all those block shots out there today were accidents. So I don't think anybody was looking to block the shots today, but 4 of them did get blocked. I think Mika's was the worst, the one in the back of the calf. That one probably hurt the most. So
I meant when the games count on
yeah,
the ice.
yeah. I mean, listen, I said from the start, like it was a grind of a road trip, and while I think these conversations will switch too. By the way, in December we'll be talking about something different, and we might be firing away on all cylinders at their end, and we might be talking about something different, whatever it might be. I think things change constantly through the course of the year. But the one thing that I said with that trip and before, I really thought that we were doing what we needed to do to win. And some of the games we had leads, and I thought that we were defending the right way, maybe a little bit too much with that lead, and you could have pushed down the other direction a little bit more. But we were doing what we needed. The sticks were down. We were competing hard inside of that D-zone coverage. For the most part, we weren't giving up odd man rushes. And when it came time to block shots or pick up sticks, tie up sticks, I thought we were doing a pretty good job. And so there was a lot of positives that came from that.
Just one question here. Has there been any more discussion formally or within the organization with players about net protection? Is it not there?
Not, you know, we just got back off the road trip, and yesterday nobody came in. So today's the first day. You know, those options are out there. I'm sure there will be discussions. It's a dangerous. There are some dangerous sports out there, And I think that the objective is always to protect the player, to look to protect the player, because it is a contact, dangerous sport. And we haven't had any conversations inside of that yet. I believe that there are options out there now. There's no requirements to say that somebody can't try it in practice, or they can't try it in game, or they can't try to get accustomed to that before something might have to happen, like you're suggesting, like that the league gets together in these formal meetings on what might be mandatory and what might not be mandatory. But I know that there are available options out there with shirts and guards and stuff like that. And, the players, they certainly have the green light to try those things in practice and see if they can get accustomed to it and used to it. It's such a, you know, there's times inside, you know, since I've been coaching in probably all of life, right? There's been times that have popped up where, you know, something really tragic happens, and it makes you stop and think about everything that, are we doing enough? Are we doing the right things? And this is certainly one of those times with such a tragic incident that happened. So.